Next presentation is a brief overview of the EU and UK fresh produce market, perspectives for fruit and vegetable producers from the Western Balkans. Tom Joyce, news editor of the Fruit Media International, will be speaking.
Hello, everyone. I don't know if you all speak English. I'm very impressed if you do, but I will not feel, you know, upset if you get up now and head to the back and put some headphones on. My name's Tom Joyce. I'm from Fruitnet Media International. We do a variety of things at Fruitnet. I'll give you a brief introduction to who we are, how we can assist you. Do I have a clicker that I can? Okay, so we have offices around the world. I won't go into too much detail. Our main business is publishing. We produce monthly magazines, Eurofruit, which focuses on Europe, Asia Fruit, which focuses on Asia. You get the idea. And FPJ is our UK-focused magazine. Obviously, we're very online these days, so please go to fruitnet.com for daily news. We also do events. Our Global Tomato Congress is probably the one coming up that you guys might be interested in. It takes place in The Hague in the Netherlands. And we also do a berry event every November, and we have been working with the Serbian Chamber of Commerce for the last few years. And I'm very grateful for their invitation today to speak to you all. But the idea, a few years ago, 3 years before the pandemic suddenly hit, we wanted to do an event which covered the whole Southeast Europe region. We started in Serbia, and we really found our home here, felt extremely welcome, and the organization from the Serbian Chamber of Commerce has been astonishing, really. So thanks a lot for that. And it was only really the pandemic that interrupted our yearly event in Belgrade. We've heard already about the impact of the war in Ukraine. But many years ago, the idea was that Serbian exporters really were too reliant on Russia. Aside from the war, it was, you know, always a very risky strategy to have all the eggs in the Russian basket. So I have quite a positive message, really, about the opportunities for Serbian exporters for a number of products, fruit and vegetables, in the EU market and also in the UK market. We're very close to Fruit Logistica and Asia Fruit Logistica. We have an exclusive partnership there. Hopefully we'll see a lot of you in Berlin. And we also have a marketing company, Mint, which can really help to get some very specific messages out there. So I'll start with some of the challenges. Obviously, the EU market has been suffering. You know, consumer purchasing power is pretty weak, but I'm not sure if that is necessarily an obstacle or actually an opportunity for companies here. There's obviously the politics issue is a real stumbling block for everyone. The Suez Canal issues that we've seen sort of show how vulnerable that particular choke point is. There was a time when you needed a massive army to really disturb these trade routes, whereas now I think, you know, a few drones and the objective is achieved. Climate change is an enormous challenge for everyone. And I think with the introduction of the Corporate Social Responsibility Directive in the EU, which comes into effect this year, firstly for the very big companies, and then eventually it will affect everyone. So that is a transparency initiative when it comes to sustainability. So it's not necessarily that you have to meet all these sustainability targets on water and labour and all these challenges. It's showing that you are aware of where you are and where you need to be. And so I think the sooner that companies really look to address those issues, social, environmental, the better it will be, because anyone supplying the EU market will have to meet those standards in the coming years. Opportunities, I think, are virtually the same as the challenges. The instability that we're seeing, the climate impact on countries like Spain, who many EU countries and UK are extremely reliant on. They have been having huge production issues in a number of products for the last few years, and we have seen, as a result, shortages on markets like the UK. Particularly last year, there were empty shelves of a number of items, tomatoes, salads, which was, I guess, quite shocking, really, for a UK consumer who maybe are used to a bit more stability. But Brexit has certainly helped to increase the sort of instability on the market, but also to create opportunities for other exporters. I think if my presentation has a theme, it will be that spreading the risk is the answer to a lot of our problems, and retailers in Europe are very, very keen to have sources of production that they can rely on, and multiple sources. No one is now going to be completely reliant on Spain for a wide variety of vegetables. EU buyers and retailers are looking to Eastern Europe and the Balkans to have a backup at the very least. But that will mean that they will need to import regularly to keep those connections up. Key products, I don't want to limit it too much. Obviously, tomatoes was a huge issue in the UK last year. I'm not sure if tomatoes would really be the biggest one for Serbia, but I think huge opportunities in cauliflowers, potatoes, onions, other brassicas. In fruit, apples, pears, berries, of course, blueberries, but also raspberries. I know it's predominantly frozen here, but I understand about 20% is fresh, and that has potentially a very good opportunity in Europe. The solutions are pretty well known. Different technologies are helping to reduce labour costs and things like that, and maybe standardise quality. Data can really help in terms of identifying these the climate gaps and social gaps and things like that. The real answer will be cooperation, including with a company like ours who can really help to sort of get the message out there about Serbian quality and the variety of products that are available. I think in Europe, I think people are quite aware of Serbian apples, Serbian berries, but maybe not some of the other products, including vegetables. But cooperation in order to reach those sustainability targets will be really important. The big companies that will have to meet those sustainability standards now will be able to spend 50,000 euros on PricewaterhouseCoopers to just take care of it for them. Smaller companies will, that's a big amount of money. And so grouping together just, you know, not entirely, but you know, for the purpose of measuring sustainability and the social environmental impact of all the economic activities relating to the company, I think the cost can be cut to probably €3,000 per company, I think, if people are sensible and work together. And obviously promotion, that can come through all sorts of categories. I was speaking to Julka Toskic earlier, who's done brilliant work with Serbia Does Apples and Serbia Does Fruit. And a big effort needs to be made in simply communicating about what Serbia has to offer. Oh, I'm going back. So finally, here's some data. Obviously, you know, this is less relevant for you guys, because this is just you know, the EU production of fruits. You can see that you know, apple production is still increasing. I think lots of stone fruit items, the regular issues in European countries. So I think in this this particular one, I think it really just highlights the opportunities for stone fruit. And here are the veggies. And top EU producers, I think, is interesting by the presence of Romania, because I think, and many people probably think, that maybe Serbia should have joined the EU, or should have been allowed access to the EU around the time that Romania joined. And Romania is already one of the top producers in the country, which gives you an idea of where Serbia might be. But then again, I also see many opportunities for Serbia outside the EU, and I'm not sure if there would be many more advantages by joining the EU. When we look at imports, we can see that when it comes to things like apples, right at the bottom, they've dropped. And that's not because that we don't need apples in apple imports in the EU. It's that there have been issues. There have been production issues. There have been difficulties in importing. This is both within the EU and outside the EU imports. This is just an example, really, of the sort of countries that I think will be the main targets for Serbia. Germany, obviously, but then UK is not on there for obvious reasons. Fresh vegetables, as I say, those are the big ones that I'm thinking of: onions, peppers, even carrots, maybe courgettes, and cauliflowers at the bottom. As I say, just big production issues that we've been having across Europe. And finally, here's the UK. I think I don't think people should be too put off by the UK being a bit of a kind of a basket case since Brexit. It seems like a very sort of unmoored country where you don't really know what direction we're going in. But the opportunities for non-EU countries in the UK are definitely there. And so I'd recommend that you talk to us at Fruitnet. We can help to spread the word about what Serbia has to offer in our Eurofruit magazine, Fresh Produce Journal, and at our multiple events. So I think, in summary, I think the opportunities are definitely there, and I think this is the direction that we would be advising Serbian exporters to move in, even if the war in Ukraine hadn't happened, even if the UK hadn't left Brexit. This is simply just a sensible, risk-averse strategy to spread your exports as widely as possible, no longer relying on single markets for large volumes. So thank you very much. Please get in touch. I'll be here for the rest of the day. Unfortunately, I have to go tomorrow. But yeah, it'd be great to meet you all. Thank you.